We do not need to be perfect to save the world. Talmud Sanhedrin. Abai says the world has no fewer than 36 people in each generation that greet the divine image. Abai's teaching features prominently in many Hasidic stories where the righteous, the Lamed Vavnikim, these 36 usually humbled and hidden people, save the Jewish people or even the world from destruction. These stories, mashalim, often have nimshalim, lessons. Many of these Hasidic stories are to inspire all of us to become Lamed Vavnikim, to become righteous like them, so we can all save the world. But is that really possible? The minute one of us makes a mistake, sometimes a big one, we know that we're not one of the 36. Is all lost then? Obviously not. So here is a story of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, the Prince of Gems, that comes into mind, and it says that the righteous can't always fix all. Sometimes problems come from them as well. Once upon a time, there was a non-Jewish king who had a small Jewish community in his kingdom. He was getting older, and his wife had not yet had a child, an heir to take over the throne. He knew about these 36 righteous, and so he called the Jewish community and said, "Bring me the righteous that's in your community so that he may pray on my behalf and my wife can have a child." They brought the shoemaker, who they all knew to be so pious and so quiet. The shoemaker, of course, demurred, "I can't do anything. How do I know that I am the righteous? Just go and pray for us, and let's see what happens." He prays for the queen and king, and lo and behold, she gives birth to a daughter. By the age of 4, this daughter, as beauty as anything, and she is as smart as anything. She knows already 8 languages. Everyone is so excited. This righteous man's prayer came about. Yet the king was not pleased, because in those days, women did not inherit the throne. So what's going to happen? She's going to marry somebody, and her husband is going to inherit the throne. I want a son. He calls the Jewish community back and says, "Send me the righteous shoemaker." They point out, as is always the legend, that as soon as one of these righteous offer a prayer, they die to be replaced by another one. And so this time they say, the dressmaker, he is our new righteous. He is going to come and pray for a son on your behalf. Of course, he protests a little bit, but he comes to the palace. And this time he says, "I've learned about these gems. If you bring these gems and I pray over them, then your son will be born and also have the traits that these gems represent." And so they bring gems from all over the kingdom, and the dressmaker prays, and lo and behold, they have a son. The son grows up to be almost as smart as the daughter, but because he is a boy, they pour praise on him. His sister is now been pushed aside, and she is jealous. She calls a sorcerer to put a curse on her brother. And her brother becomes full of leprosy, full of pain, and the entire kingdom is angry. What can we do? This is the act of sorcery. The king is going to kill every sorcerer and magician in the land. The sister feels a little guilty, actually, and doesn't want to be the cause of mass murder. So she throws herself in the water, ending the curse. And instead of the leprosy stores, this boy has gems all over his body. Now it seems wonderful, but they can't rip the gems off. So now this king is left without a daughter and with a son who's so full of gems he can barely function and barely do anything, and the gems have no value because he can't take them off and trade them in for any money. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav was known as standing out as a different type of Hasidic master, one that doesn't always rely on the righteous, He says that every one of us has righteousness inside, even just a little. And if you look deep and find it and nurture it, you can have it overcome whatever misgivings and imperfections we might have. He teaches us that we do not need to be perfect to contribute to saving the world. This week's Torah portion agrees. Every single person that we encountered in this week's Torah portion has a flaw. Jacob steals blessings. Leah is insecure and allows herself to be a pawn in the switcheroo between her sister. Reuben inherits the trickery and insecurity of his father. Rachel thinks that only children bring love and then steals her father's idols. And Lavan, even himself, has some redeeming qualities, in the end, blessing his family. All of these biblical heroes have both redeeming righteous qualities as well as imperfections. They had faith in God, and after their wrestling, embraced the covenant with God and tried to bring out righteousness. We are more like these imperfect biblical heroes, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, more so than the humbled shoemaker and dressmaker, if such a person exists. So I ask us all today, let us embrace our inner righteousness inside of us and nurture it so we can collectively save the world and be accepting if some parts of us are imperfect. Shabbat Shalom.